As a more technical management topic, let's talk about how you can minimize missing pages. This is where a page that's called a 404 page comes into play. Maybe you've seen one of these. It goes under the title, A Page Not Found Error. Many times when you're searching online and you'll click on a result, you might find a page that doesn't exist anymore. This comes from what we talked about in previous lessons. The search engines make copies of websites. However, when the owner of a website removes a page, the search engine doesn't know yet that that page is missing. So the page, which is in the search engine's database, still gets the algorithm applied to it, still ranks well, and shows up in the search engine results. When we click on the result, it sends us to that page's destination, but unfortunately, the page isn't there. And what happens is most people use the default message, which is very unfriendly, and when people see that, they click on the back button and go back to the search results and go somewhere else. Now, something other people have done is that they have created a custom 404 page. However, they have let the IT department write the message. And sometimes the IT department can treat people, well, a little bit callously. They let them know that they did something wrong. And we're going to look at some of these messages and how you can make them better. Because in reality, this is an opportunity to let people know that they can still get to your site. No one is going to go into the URL bar and retype the URL in order to get where they want to go. The back button is the easiest tool people have, and they'll take it. This is what the default 404 page looks like most times. It just says the page can't be found. In fact, it even tells the user to click on their back button to try something else. So we don't want to go with the default 404. Now, as an example, this is what Apple's 404 page looks like. It just simply says the page you're looking for can't be found, and then provides many other links in categories for the user to click on, which is a great idea because obviously they're looking for something on the Apple site. The page that was there doesn't exist anymore, and now you can click on the navigation, use the search box, or click any of the links that are available to you. The site Etsy just lets you know the page that you were looking for was not found, and they've got a nice little illustration there, but a link to the home page. Still, the main navigation is available, as well as the search box. So a good 404 error page allows people to find their way back into the website. eBay does something very similar. It says the page may have moved or is no longer available, and they give you options to try, or you can just click on any of the available links or use the search box that's given to you. I love the message that CNET gives, whoops, you broke the internet. And then they give you the ability to sign up for some live events or the CNET homepage, but the links are still there for the main navigation, and the search box is given to the user twice. It keeps them engaged and lets them know that it's not your fault, and here are ways to get back into the website. So here are a few things to do when developing your own 404 error page. The first thing is to avoid blaming the user. I see these all the time in 404 error messages, and it just irritates me because it assumes that the user was at fault, when most times people find 404 pages from search results, which means it's the web manager's fault. So telling someone that they haven't mistyped the URL, most people don't type in the URL when it is a long, extended, anything past the domain they're not going to type in. Make sure that you haven't bookmarked a page that doesn't exist. Make sure the web address you entered doesn't contain a typo. Again, did you mistype the address? Don't assume that the user is at fault. Simply apologize. Be nice about it. And here are the essentials. Number one, a custom 404 error page needs to have the same navigation as every other page in the website. Let the user enable them to get back into the site, find the navigation, and get where they want to go. Give a friendly message. Make sure it doesn't put blame on the user. Make sure that the search box that's available anywhere else on the website is available on the 404 page, and then recommended links. Now, one thing I will say is never redirect any 404 errors to the home page. This will cause problems with search engines as they try to spider the site, and if they come across a 404 error page or a 404 error message that page is missing and then are redirected to the home page, that will cause some spidering errors on your site. It's always best just to produce a 404 error page and then track that in your analytics or in your webmaster tools so that you can fix any problems that arise if any pages were to disappear. Also, finally, don't use any techie language in your custom 404 page. Don't assume that people know programming terms, and so I recommend that someone from marketing create this, be friendly, and take care of the user. Now we're going to talk about a file, and it's a tiny little file, but it can create a lot of problems. And that's a file called the Robots.txt file. The Robots.txt file has a couple of functions that don't seem that vitally important, but it can become a vitally important file if you forget about it. You see, the Robots.txt file is really just sort of a welcome to a search engine or to a software program called a bot or a spider. You see, this is where search engines look to find any instructions that the webmaster has for them. In reality, we call this a welcome mat. The Robots.txt file welcomes the search engine bot to the website and lets them know here are the areas of the site that you are allowed to go copy content. More importantly, it lets them know here are areas of the site that I don't want you to spider and that I don't want you to download. Very similar to people that arrive at your door. If you have a welcome mat, or even if you don't have a welcome mat, they're still going to come, just like a search engine spider. And when people come into your house, you welcome them in, and you also tell them not to open the closet door, where you put everything in there and shove the door shut so no one would see the mess. That's what the Robots.txt file is. It lets the search engines know that I would rather you not index this information. Now, it could be for a number of reasons, and we'll get into those. But the basic protocol of a Robots.txt file is to identify the user agent. That's the bot. Now, it could be Google. By using the asterisk, what we are saying is all search engines that are reading this file. If you want to exclude Google, instead of using the asterisk, you say Googlebot, and that will disqualify Google from coming to your website. And you can go online and get lists of different search engine bots. Now, there are bots that are run by other companies, other servers, other webmasters around the world, and not all bots will follow this protocol. The search engines have sort of an unwritten rule that they will follow the protocol that you lay out in the Robots.txt. Now, the disallow, and then there's nothing there. The instructions that are contained in this Robots.txt file are saying any search engine bot can index any page of this website. This Robots.txt file makes sure that everything is wide open for any search engine and lets them know that there are no restrictions to copying the content of this website. Now, if you want to take your website out of the search engine index, all you have to type in is a /. And what that tells any search engine that comes to the site that disallow says disallow everything. You are not allowed to index my site whatsoever. Now, the problem is a lot of companies, when they are developing a brand new website, they don't want it spidered or included in the search engine index until after the site is done. And so they'll put a Robots.txt file on the directory that they are building the site on, the temporary directory or the development directory. And then when they take the site live, they include the Robots.txt file and forget to change it. And what happens is the brand new site blocks the search engines, and someone has to figure out what's going on later, after they find out there's a problem. Now, you can use this file to disallow certain files. You can use this to manage duplicate content. If you know that there are certain directories that are duplicates, you can eliminate some of these directories just by putting / the name of the directory and another /. And you put a disallow line for every directory or every specific file, and then that will make sure that that is disallowed. Now, if you ever have any question about whether you've done it right or not, you can make sure when you go into Google Webmaster Tools, when you go into blocked URLs in the health of your website. This will let you know that you can test what your robots.txt file is eliminating or keeping out of the search engine's index, specific URLs, directories, and it will also let you know that the search engine does see the robots.txt file, and you can test and make sure that you're not blocking anything that you don't want blocked. So the robots.txt file, after you've completed it, it's simply a text file that is appended robots.txt, that's the name of it, and then you upload it to the root level domain. Through an FTP, you just put it right on the main level of your website. Now, do not use this file for security. If you don't want the search engines to download specific content, if you don't want anyone to see this content, then put it behind a password or firewall or something like that. Do not use this file for any means of security. You can use it to manage duplicate content. You can use it just to keep the search engines out of extraneous files or directories or anything that doesn't need to be in the search engine index. Sitemaps are something that every webmaster needs to know about. The problem is that there are two major kinds of sitemaps, and there are significant differences between them. The first kind of sitemap is a website sitemap. That is one that is intended for the user, that lets them know what content is on the site in a way that they can see logical groupings, and then all of the content is simply an index or a directory containing links to pages throughout the site. Sort of a one page that allows them to see everything. Now, the other type of sitemap is called a search engine sitemap. A search engine sitemap is a file that you place in your root level directory and that you can upload to the search engine that, similar to the user sitemap, it allows the search engine to know all of the pages that are contained on your website. Now, there's two different ways of creating these. Let's look at website sitemaps first. The website sitemap is a directory of links to all of your content and most of your pages. They're helpful to the user because it presents it in a different, more contextual way than your navigation. It can be lists of links grouped by topic, more of a contextual view of the site, or a taxonomy similar to your navigation, but it shows groups of links in a category that people can click on and see where they're going. Just like Apple provides here, that you can see all of the major top-level content that is in each category. And it scrolls down so that you can see all of the information there rather than use the navigation or use the search box. It gives you a more visual representation of the content that's on the site. Something that some sites are doing now is, rather than developing the large sitemap, they're more using their footer for the important information that is typically contained in a sitemap. So sometimes you'll see footers that are very large and have a lot of information in them, and chances are they might not be using a sitemap. But sometimes they are, and it's your choice what you want to do. There's no strategy that says you have to do one or the other, or even though you have to do a sitemap. It's good policy to do it for the user, just because some people might like to look at your information a little bit differently. Now, search engine sitemaps actually are really simple. You upload it through Webmaster Tools, and it's simply an XML scheme or RSS or a text file. And sometimes your own content management system will be able to export or create a sitemap that you can upload. The sitemap is real simple. It lists the URLs that are on your site, the last time they were updated, how often they changed, and what the importance of each page is in relation to the rest of the pages in your website. Now, even though you create the sitemap and you upload it to the search engine, it does not guarantee that the search engine is going to include all of those pages in its index. We're going to come back to that. Now, here's how Bing allows you to upload a sitemap through the Webmaster Tools. Go into the dashboard under Configure My Site, and you'll see Sitemaps. And right there's a Submit button that you can show Bing where your sitemap resides in any of the acceptable formats. Google Webmaster Tools is very similar. You can upload your sitemap through Optimization and the Sitemaps tab. Google also gives you a Test Sitemap button that allows you to test the sitemap and make sure that it's organized in the correct format that will allow Google to incorporate the pages into its index. Now, just a few things about sitemaps. If you already are being spidered, and you can see this in the Webmaster Tools, that Google and Bing, they see your website and they are downloading the pages of your website, then chances are I wouldn't recommend that you need to do a search engine sitemap. The search engines want to find websites on their own. If the reason why your website is not being completely spidered and downloaded by the search engines, chances are it's extremely large and the programming is very complex. And so as a result, Google or Bing or any of the other search engines are not able to fully download an entire copy of your website. In that case, I would say, yes, go ahead and develop a sitemap and upload it. Because if your site is being spidered, that's the preferred way that search engines want to find the website. Also, if you have content that's not being spidered, chances are they're not seeing the links between the pages, links to those pages, and so you're not getting the full amount of relevance that you may get by being naturally spidered. How fast does your content change? Does your content change multiple times throughout the day, like a large blog or a news site? If your content is changing, that you're creating 10 to 12 or even more pages per day, then it might be a good idea to submit like that or set it up on an RSS feed that will continue to add those new pages into the search engine's index. But both Google and Bing have made it clear that simply uploading the sitemap does not guarantee that your pages will be included in the search engine's index. Like I said, the search engines would rather find your content on their own through their natural spidering methods. Just because you've uploaded it and let the search engine know that it exists doesn't mean that they're going to include it. A great resource if you want more information about developing and formatting your sitemap is at SiteMaps.org. Your own site search inside your website is a critical component of the navigation that people depend upon to find information on your website. You see, a lot of people aren't satisfied with simply just using the navigation. They know that they can use a search box and quickly find information that's on the page. People are conditioned to use the search box. Most of the time, that's how they found your site to begin with. So a couple of questions that I've got for you. Have you ever tested your own site search? If you have, how relevant are the results that you see? How are the results displayed? Can you change or edit the results? Can you make them more attractive visually? What are the problems in how the results are displayed? And who's in control of that? Are there too many results or too few, or are they redundant? All of these things can affect how the searcher on your site decides to stay or leave depending upon how easily they can understand the search results from your own internal site search. Is it clear where people should click to go where they want to go? Too many times I've seen websites and their internal site search is just disastrous. Even if the site is beautiful and they've put a lot of attention on the products, the placement, the usability, the color scheme, they use a second-rate internal search engine on the interior of their site, and it's reflected in the usability rates and in the exit rates when people leave the site. Something that you want to avoid is having no results for a search query. Here's a site that has lighting as a main navigation feature, but yet in a search for a dining table light, there's nothing. No suggested, no related, nothing. And that's one of the worst things that you can give someone. On the other side, you can give someone too much that's too general. And so what we see are page names that just simply give no clear title. Category 33, Category 7. The descriptions aren't helpful. They're talking about different things. They've got prices, sale prices, wall chargers. So the results aren't relevant, and actually they're very repetitive. So they really don't give the searcher any information that's related to what they were looking for. Now on this site, the search results are very clear. They let you know that there are 4 pages of search results. You get pictures. You also get the product name and the price. A great way to show the internal site search results. Because people are looking for a product, they can see the product and the price and get a great sense of what they're looking for and what they need to do. Another website gives the searcher tools within the search to allow them to search specific subsets, such as price, subcategory, and also letting users know here are how many products there are in each subcategory. So these are great tools to give the user that lets them know here's what you can do based on what you're looking for. If you're not looking to spend more than $20 and you want a certain kind of category, you can do that. Giving tools to the user is a great feature of an internal site search. And I love the site search at Smithsonian.com because it gives the user the power of sorting by relevance, the newest article, or the oldest article. It lets you know how many pages of results there are, but also it presents them in a very clear format. And then also, everything has a consistent format of an image, a title, a great description, as well as the date the article was published. So for your internal site search, if you're an e-commerce website or if you have a lot of content on your site, you may want to consider a third-party search vendor, but you definitely want to track your internal site search with analytics. That way you can see the searches that people are doing and what happens to them afterwards. Find out the predominant words that are being searched on in your internal site search, and then go search on them yourself so that you can see what the user sees and make a good judgment if those are good search results or bad search results. Make sure you test the search capabilities. Make sure and see if you can optimize your own site search as well, just as you would optimize for Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Site links are a concern of just about any webmaster as they get more and more into watching their rankings increase and their business gain more and more visibility through search. Site links are a critical part of the indented results. Whenever a brand name search is done, the company should come up number 1 for their brand name. And when they do, there are indented results which contain site links. These site links are typically the predominant information that people are looking for when they go to a website. So for example, the Hilton New York, there are 2 main site links, maps and directions, and rooms and suites. And then also there is a link to click for more results. If we go to Google and search for Yahoo, we can see site links to the predominant Yahoo features such as Mail and the sign in to the Mail, Messenger, and some of Yahoo's other properties. Southwest Airlines gives you great tools here. The site links are fantastic to check in, check a flight status, special offers, and contact information. But what happens if your company has great site links, but there's 1 or 2 that just don't seem to fit? Maybe it's a login area that's showing up in the site links. You see, the problem is the search engines have not given us the ability yet to say which content we want to show up in the site links. The only thing we can do is tell the search engine the content we don't want to show up in the site links. We do that through Google Webmaster Tools. If you go to your site's configuration, and there's a Site Links tab, and what you're doing is demoting a current site link. So if there is a site link showing up for your company in the indented links that you don't want that page showing up, you simply add the entire URL and demote. Now, hopefully someday, Google will give us the ability to say which pages we want there, but until then, Google has its own algorithm and its own decision points about which pages and why will be contained in those site links. So when you're managing your site links, make sure your company has site links to start with. Do a brand-based search. Make sure your company is showing up at the top with those indented results, and then ask yourself if those links are the most usable, not so much to you, but for your customers. Do those links provide the most active and necessary functions that people are looking for on your site? Make sure you remove the links that aren't preferred, and hopefully someday Google will give us the ability to suggest the ones we want there.